Welcome to the Disney Reporter. I'm Mr. DAPs, and I'm joined by Katie and Caitlin, who are joining me in expanded coverage of all that's going on at the Disneyland Resort. I'm not going to cover as much geek news this week because there's so much going on at the Disneyland Resort. First off, it was announced that there is a new parking structure coming to the Disneyland Resort, and it's not on the east side of Disneyland. It's on the west side. I think you saw this first, Caitlin. You want to give a brief overview of what is happening, or do you want me to help you?
I'm pretty sure, from what I remember correctly, it's going in the Pinocchio parking lot.
Yep, Pinocchio
part of
parking lot is goodbye.
The Mickey and Friends parking structure.
Right outside of it.
It makes sense.
And it's going to add, I think, 600...
I think it's at 6,500.
6,500, I'm sorry. 6,500 more spaces, which is 60% more parking.
Yeah.
And more lanes to come into the parking structures now. And it'll also involve a remaking of the tram loading and unloading zones. What do you guys think about this? Is it going to work?
It makes sense. There's already an established parking area over there, and it's not like they're getting rid of a lot of parking to begin with, because they don't use it that much.
Only buses really park in Pinocchio.
So, and they can put the buses, they'll figure it out. Yeah. Maybe in Toy Story or something.
Or just park them in all of those lots that they just bought.
Yeah, I don't see it as a big
or Pumbaa
issue.
or Simba. Or...
Yeah, oh yeah, Simba.
So my question is, do you think it'll fix the bottleneck problem that going into Mickey and Friends that's happening now? They say there's going to be more lanes coming in, but...
I'm trying to think of where.
I mean, just imagine, my hunch is, because you come in right now and you're going up and then you go into, is it 8 lanes or something like that? Imagine if instead of 8 it was 16.
How?
Because
I don't know where they're going to put it.
You just keep going to the left.
But that's the off-ramp for coming down.
I'm sure it'll be redone.
They'll figure it out, but it's just kind of thinking logistically where on.
Or, I mean, they could even pivot it so everybody goes into one lot first with a wider entrance or something. Do you think if they can get more lanes to enter, that will fix... I mean, because I can think of times where I've seen it backed up all the way up to 5. I think worst case scenario was a 24-hour day where it was all the way up to to 91 or something.
I mean, I dealt with it last year during first weekend of Christmas. It was first weekend of Christmas, Avengers Half, Veterans Day. It took me an hour and a half to get from my hotel on Chapman to downtown Disney because I gave up because every single street up Ball, Catella, West, all of those were completely backed up everywhere.
So do you think it's...
that was still a problem.
Yeah.
So they need to, one, absorb cars quicker, but 2, do they need more entrances? Like maybe they could make an entrance on the backside or something also, which I'm sure people would hate on West. Like I can't imagine West absorbing a lot of traffic either.
But I think if they added another entrance, or I think it would help a lot, especially if it was in a totally different place than the one we have now. Like if it was on the opposite side of the structure or whatever.
Or by the downtown Disney entrance.
Yeah, because right now it's really just such a mess. Like there's been days, not even on a special day, there were nights that I would sit there for like 45 minutes, nothing moving, and I was like, why is this happening? But yeah, I think that getting another entrance would definitely help it a lot.
I think it would make sense to have it the back way up. Not West. What's the next one over?
Disney?
Disneyland Way. Behind the parking structure and all the hotels.
Isn't that West?
Anyways, the one behind it, if people were going up that and going in the back way.
Which I'm sure the locals would hate.
Yeah.
It's already congested.
Yeah, everywhere is. So my question is there was supposed to be the parking structure being built across harbor for that new east entrance with the overpass and all that fun stuff. And the reason it didn't happen is because the locals weren't having it. They wanted the traffic to walk through their hotels, not over them, to oversimplify what it is. Do you think this backfired on them?
Yes.
How so?
I honestly think that people being on that side of harbor, possible, even if they're walking over, it's a possibility they would have at least seen something, and they see Creamistry or they see whatever, and they're like, oh, I could go there later, and this takes them completely out of the equation. They don't even see those things anymore. And I think overall it just sucks more people into the Disneyland Resort that could have possibly been business and probably won't even see Harbor anymore.
Yeah, I really think Disney wins on this, and the local businesses, I was going to say local community, but really it's local businesses lose on this. I mean, Anaheim's going to get tons of money, just
Right.
from taxes and whatever it is they get from that. But to me, like, visibility is half the game of any business. And if you now have everybody going to the west side of the park instead of east side of the park, that's at the very least, let's say it fills up every day. That's 6,500 cars that are now no longer going anywhere near your business.
Right.
That originally could have been within walking distance of like, oh, I don't actually want to go into the park right now. I'm going to walk to Panera. I'm going to walk to Grand Legacy. I'm going to walk to whatever, Blaze
Right.
Pizza. And now they're really going to have zero reason to walk
Yeah.
to the east side of the parks. I think maybe if Toy Story still exists, there will be that bit. But even then, that's a bus ride. Like, nobody's walking in. I mean, there's a few of us that walk in when the bus line is long. But for the most part, most people are going on the
leaving it up
bus.
there.
And so that's the same as going on an an overpass. You're at least going to have time to see it as you walk.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see. It'll be, what do you think they're going to do with that space they just bought? Like, was it the Carousel Hotel that they closed down? And
Well, it's still open.
oh, it's still open?
It's still open.
Okay. I'm curious what they're going to do with it now, because they own all of this. Are they going to put another Disneyland hotel there?
Well, because they bought that hotel in the property behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It would make sense.
There's a
if
lot
they
of space there.
Maybe expanded cast member parking.
Yeah, that could work.
Expanded Pumbaa, because I know for some people when they're told, okay, you have to go to Angel Stadium, then that adds so much extra commute time onto their, day. They have to be to work essentially an hour earlier than.
That's a good
I think
idea.
that would actually
actual-
be very smart.
I think if they expanded at least the back empty area, they don't need a garage, but at least expand the
Well, they might
parking
as
lot.
well. Like, because what the local businesses were fighting was really the overpass, not the parking lot. I mean, I think they, in their perfect world, my hunch is they wanted the parking lot to be built without the overpass, so everybody had to walk through, and they thought, hey, we can fight this, and they can do a ground level walkover, and it'll be fine, and or just have more accessibility from the overpass, or whatever it is that they thought. And now they're not getting anything, but I mean, I don't even know what the permits are. Maybe the permits are still there for a parking structure and just not the overpass.
I think if the Team Disney building has a parking structure on a much smaller scale, I think it would be smart that Catella got a cast member parking structure.
Or Pumbaa.
Or Pumbaa.
Yeah.
Because then they could literally walk in.
Yeah.
If anything with the hotel, if Disney already owns it, rename it.
I was gonna say
Just
rename
make it kind of what Disney World has, is like the All-Stars,
All-Stars.
or
Yeah.
Art of Animation. Make it a themed.
So what would you
value
theme
resort-
it just off the top of your
value
head?
Hotel.
Put your creative hat on for a second.
I would do Star Wars.
Like a Star Wars entry level.
Yeah,
Fun.
because if the
Yeah.
hotel's already
You can't lose.
established, you retheme all the rooms.
Mhm.
I've heard good things about that hotel to begin with.
Mhm.
I've never stayed there, but I've heard good things. It's already an established property. It wouldn't take as much as far as construction, all that goes.
Well, that's one of the hard parts about the Disneyland Resort is Florida does have those entry-level hotels where families can afford to stay there. If you have a family of 5, that gets really expensive at the Disneyland Resort because Disneyland's expensive. Paradise Pier is less expensive, but still a
But
pretty
still,
good chunk.
it's
And then I don't know how you'd pull off the Grand Californian if you're a family of 5.
There's no value hotel on Disney.
Yeah,
property.
exactly.
I mean, there are plenty of other great hotels. I have stayed at enough of them to know
Yeah. Mhm.
what hotels are good on Harbor. But you there are those families that want the Disney experience that just can't afford. Even the Paradise Pier, it's exceedingly
is.
expensive. Especially when you look at, if you're going for 4 nights plus your 17% tax, and hospitality, I know all these things. So if it's already there, just retheme it.
Yeah.
I think it's a
Even
great
if it
idea.
wasn't Star Wars, if they did a Cars themed hotel.
I was going to say they should do
Cars
Toy
Lander,
Story with the Pixar
something.
Fest. You could have it re-themed and reopened by next spring.
Oh yeah.
And then when Pixar Fest begins in the spring, you say, and we've got this new...
Value Resort.
Well, and they've already got the theming that they've done in Shanghai for Toy Story.
Oh,
so why
yeah.
not just pull that over, do a paint job, throw up some
Right.
cool artwork. If you really want to go all out, have a few of the Toy Story characters do meet and greets in the lobby. That'd be amazing.
Well, and the thing is, even if that hotel closed, there have been so many other hotels popping up along Harbor at such a rapid pace that there's plenty of space for people to stay. One hotel closed is not going to make a big difference.
It's true.
That's totally true. But it would be cool to have a value resort for the Disneyland resort.
Yeah.
I just think, I mean, the thing is it would probably be the most packed hotel in the resort when you think about it.
Because it's right across the street. It's that's a closer walk than any, other than the Grand.
Yeah.
It's a closer walk than the Disneyland Hotel in Paradise Pier.
Yeah. And you can see the fireworks really cool from it, if you're in the right.
I think from their pool you can see them.
Just
I know
put
they have a rooftop.
They just need to put a rooftop thing and you're good to go.
One.
Yeah.
I think that it would be an incredibly smart move, and I know I'm jumping forward a little bit. That was the disappointment with the new hotel not being a value resort, is I think that they're missing a huge mark. I think the last thing California needs is more upscale Disneyland hotels. I think we need a value resort because Disney World has the 3 tiers. They have their deluxe, their premium, and then they have their value resorts. And I think that's a huge opportunity that we're missing because all of ours feel like premium resorts.
Mm-hmm. So let's move right on to that then. They also announced the 4 Diamond Hotel is coming to what is currently the downtown Disney district. It'll be taking up all of the areas currently AMC, ESPN zone, all of that area that's west of the monorail berm is really going to see a completely different look. Even there's a Starbucks there that probably won't be there anymore. Looking at the artwork and
they'll put it in the lobby.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be somewhere.
Go in the lobby.
First off, it's going to be very nature centric, which I thought was interesting. They put a big emphasis on how important nature and plants and all of that stuff are going to be to it, which I've always thought would be a good approach for Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a new V-shaped hotel. It's interesting because looking at this concept art, it doesn't look a whole lot like the concept art we saw when originally it was announced that a hotel was going in somewhere down there. And maybe we'll be surprised, but this concept art has a very different look to me and a different feel to me than the concept art that had more of a very retro, it reminded me kind of the modern Indiana Jones thing from the beginning of Last Crusade. But what do you think, first off, let's just aesthetically, what do you think of the concept art?
So we have a contemporary.
Yeah, kind of actually, now that you mentioned it.
Like.
It's a new contemporary.
Yeah.
I just realized, so does that
It even has a monorail going through it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Then the other hotel that was supposed to be the north part of the downtown Disney.
I'm sure this is it.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I was going to say,
This
wait a
is it.
minute. Okay.
I'm sure that's how they were able to fast track this, is it was
Yeah.
already got, the permits were already on their way, and then they could tweak it instead of rebuilding.
I personally feel like it looks a little too modern.
I think especially in contrast to the Disneyland Hotel being directly behind it, it's too jarring. Like, it's two completely different looks, and they're so close together.
Well, you've got, if you're looking, I mean, obviously you're not going to be able to see all of them well, but if you're in downtown Disney and you see the Grand, you've got the, not log cabin, but the more
It feels
cabiny arts and crafts that to contemporary to retro, and then Paradise Pier kind of over in the corner, but
Yeah.
it's a very weird, it would be a very weird look
I agree completely.
that doesn't flow.
It is literally going to be in the Disneyland Hotel shadow. Like, it just feels so off in the look. And I'm hoping that I'm proved entirely wrong when they start
See, and I think it
construction.
makes a nice frame to the Disneyland Hotel. Like, as I was looking at it, I kind of had this, like, to me, it almost looks like it's the contemporary is a good analogy because it kind of has that, like, almost reimagined 70s feel that leads into the reimagined Disneyland Hotel, which was a completely different era. But with how they've redone it, it has a very nice, crisp, clean feel to it. And so I feel like it almost is this crescendo leading up to the Disneyland Hotel, which might work pretty well. And it's really, it's going to be interesting to see how they interact and combine, because it's really wrapping around the Disneyland Hotel too. So like the entrance parking lot where there's, I think it's valet parking or something, but right in front of the Disneyland Hotel, that looks like it's part of now this new hotel, whatever it's going to be called. And so they'll be kind of intertwined like this, I guess you could say. And it's interesting. Like, I like the nature approach. I think it's a mix between, like, it reminds me of contemporary, but it also reminds me of the inside of airports, like the Embassy Suites, where you've got all of those balconies, just because each room, it looks like, has a balconies. I'm looking at the with the vines and stuff growing outside of it, which I like that part a lot. But it is interesting. And then will it block, like, concierge for fireworks? It doesn't look like it will, but
this brings up I have a lot of questions now.
Yeah.
How many floors is it supposed to be?
Let me look.
Because hopefully it would only be...
It's adding
1,
600
2,
rooms,
3,
and there's
4,
2 different
5.
sides.
It looks like there's
4.
five floors underneath a 2 or above a 2-level or 2-story shopping area.
If we can trust concept art.
Because that's still pretty
Vaguely.
tall.
Because actually it looks like the hotel rooms begin higher than the monorail.
I was going to say, because it has to begin higher than the monorail.
Yep, it does.
So there's that.
Yes.
So yeah, how tall?
So that's 8 stories.
Then what?
Or 7.
And I mean, Disneyland Hotel is 11.
Yeah, so it will be above
so
it
it's
still.
going to be pretty tall.
Mm-hmm.
This next question kind of ties into the parking structure. Is downtown Disney parking going bye-bye?
I think it's actually going down to the end of the street on the corner of, what is that, Disney and Catella?
So where Simba is?
Mm-hmm. And that's going to be a parking structure. In fact, I think there's 2 parking structures coming in there from what I heard.
Okay, because that was going to be my other question is...
Or no,
wonder if they're
that
gonna have
parking
a
structure in the new one. Yeah.
downtown Disney parking in the new Pinocchio parking garage, because that would... I don't know if you can do it.
No, I think
floor,
it's going to be down at the end by Catella, and then there's also going to be a hotel parking structure going in.
Right, because then you've got the parking lot that's behind AMC, but I think that's valet for...
I think it's going to be behind Paradise Pier. So not where Simba is, but the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Where it wraps around. I think there'll be at least 1, but maybe 2.
I feel like we're...
Or it could be one that's a parking structure and one that's just a flat lot.
Yeah.
Like Simba might not change.
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to talk about Disney World a lot. That's partly because we literally were in Disney World yesterday. But I don't know how I feel about the monorail going through it. And
I love it.
That's just because I don't feel like our monorail does a lot.
Well, but it used to go up to the Disneyland Hotel.
Yeah, it used to do that, and
Yes.
I've got fond memories of the
So-
Monorail Cafe. I think that's actually a really cool thing.
Yeah.
I am curious though, is it going to still be an attraction for Disneyland, or does it really become a true form of transportation where it really becomes dedicated, where you get on at the hotel and you go into the parks, and if you come from the parks, you have to get off at the Disneyland Hotel or at the new Disney Hotel? Because I believe that happened for a while at the Disneyland Hotel, where you had to get off halfway, and I think it happens
It wasn't.
during.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of indifferent to that because
Okay.
I don't usually do a whole trip on the monorail. It's usually to get from downtown Disney over or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like a lot of people do the whole round trip. It's not the train. Like
So we're also gonna lose a few restaurants. Earl of Sandwich being one of them, which we enjoy every week, and that'll be gone or reimagined or who knows what. I mean, it's gonna be gone for a while because this isn't supposed to open until 2021, and it's starting next summer. Was it next summer?
February is one
February. No, it says construction started in summer of 2018.
Oh, the parking structure is February.
So, so they basically have less than a year, and then you're saying goodbye to Earl of Sandwich, ESPN Zone, AMC, Starbucks, and Rainforest Cafe, which they don't do so well everywhere else, but I feel like in downtown Disney, Rainforest, and ESPN
always
Zone
busy.
always are busy. So do you think any of these will see a second life on that bottom level of the hotel, or do you think it's just sayonara and we're going to see new restaurants and experiences when it reopens?
I think AMC stands a chance.
I think it does too, because I was looking at one of the concept arts and it looks like it says AMC right next to the monorail line on that south side of the building.
Rainforest could, because I've been to Rainforest at like the Mall of America, and it was one
you're
floor.
right. It was inside.
There are other Rainforest cafes that are inside that are one
Fits with
floor.
the nature theme.
It does. So I feel like that could make a comeback,
Mhm.
although it would have to be pretty big because that always has an hour wait. It's always full. Everyone wants to go there. I mean, I give up. I don't go there anymore.
Yeah.
But ESPN Zone is kind of one of those hit or miss. Like right now, it's crazy busy because hockey season just started, basketball season, World Series. So it's very dependent on
And they
whatever's
have good
happening.
wings.
They have what?
They have good wings.
Oh, I don't know. William just goes and he gets one of the
With my boss.
recliner. That was weird. He gets one of the recliner chairs and he sits there for 3 hours and he's happy watching however many things he can watch all at the same time.
Even when people can't get in, they have the games outside and people just crowd outside and
They
watch
have
games.
bleachers set up right now for the World Series.
Yeah,
that,
which is great.
I could see ESPN Zone, if Disney was really smart about it, that I could see it going over to Garden Walk.
And
There is the space for that. There is no life over at Garden Walk whenever I'm there.
well, and then it almost brings up the question: is does Garden Walk end up being the new downtown Disney? Just because now downtown Disney is what 2/3 of the size it was before. They're putting in Splitsville. They're getting rid of some of the current occupants, I guess is a good way to put it. At what point is it too... I mean, this really isn't a local friendly place once you put a hotel in here. Parking will be not super far away, but also it's not super easy to get to.
Well, and now that downtown Disney parking isn't free anymore.
And it's not free anymore, but
pay for
that's not a
something.
huge surprise. And
So
I think if they bought the space to Garden Walk, that would be one of the smartest decisions they could possibly make. Like, if they owned Garden Walk, that would... I'm sure that...
I wonder if they're allowed to.
I don't know. But I'm sure that
Let us know in the comments.
the Garden Walk would see a lot more life than it does right now, because right now it's like bookends where it's like House of Blues on one end and then Bubba Gump's and Cheesecake Factory and everything is on the other end, but anywhere in between that is just
All they
It's
need
a
to do...
ghost
town,
Well, they just need to
honestly.
put some good annual pass holder discounts for their... a few of their things for parking.
stores.
Like, parking would be a number one thing, is give a deal on parking.
Yeah.
And then, is the theater still there? It's gone.
No, the theater is
Theater's
House of Blues
gone.
now.
House of Blues. Yeah, there's a few things to go to there, but it's not the same.
But I think if Rainforest went there, if ESPN's went there, even if like AMC and
So all the old downtown Disney moves to Garden Walk.
I think that
it would be a smart move, though.
it would be a whole new life, and like I said, Garden Walk would benefit.
Yeah.
Those places would benefit. I think the real issue would just be communicating that to guests.
Yeah.
But I think that once people knew, that I think it would take off.
Well, and if they had a tram that went back and forth from the resort to there, that would change everything too.
or a
I feel like.
bus, or
That's what I mean by bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that would help with what we talked about earlier with people missing that whole side of Harbor. If there were people that were in Disneyland, oh, you know what, I want to go here, and they're walking over and they see Blaze or Pizza Press or
Yeah, exactly.
whatever.
Well, and that
ice
brings up
cream.
the interesting
Oh.
question, though, is does Disney actually want to play nice still? Like, I do have to wonder with all of this is where is the relationship between Disney and Anaheim headed? Because I'm not saying Disney's playing hardball, but they definitely are coming out ahead on this one. Like, I think they own the story this week. They like, that's all everybody was talking about. They really don't have a downside to a lot of what they're doing. Yeah, you lose a couple of restaurants that are popular, but when you think about how many parking spots they're adding, how many hotel rooms they're adding, how accessible, like, yes, it's a little bit different looking. Yes, it's going to be super expensive. But if I were just off of, like, no money down, that's not the issue. If I'm just looking at hotels I want to stay at, I already want to stay at the new one. I mean, just imagine getting up, walking 25 steps, having breakfast, and going on the monorail into the park in the morning.
And for Disney, it's not them getting a cut of Rainforest profit. It's now just directly profit to them.
Yeah.
With new space.
Like, I think I don't see any downside to this, and I see lots of downsides to Anaheim. They say $25 million or something is going into Anaheim's general coffers in the next few years because of this development, and then you've got all the workers and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
But I see zero downside to this for Disney. Like, they've got a bunch of more hotel rooms they can now watch fireworks from, or maybe see whatever it is that they're going to see. If they do something in Star Wars Land, you're going to have the views of Star Wars Land probably from these.
Some of them.
And all the people parking at the structure are now going to see this new hotel.
Right.
It's like, oh, I could have stayed there instead of driving in this morning,
Right.
or whatever. And and it also keeps everything condensed in one place. So I see zero loss. Like, there's nothing that Disney loses from this, really. I do see Harbor Boulevard losing a lot, which is kind of sad, because when you think of Disneyland from my childhood, you think of, I exit on Harbor.
Right.
You get in the old entrance, which is now the bus entrance, basically. And you have the big sign that John Stamos has now. And so you see all of those things that were iconic, that were Disneyland for decades, are now moving to the west side of the park instead of the east side. And so that's going to be an interesting thing. What do you guys think of the plaza in the middle of the new hotel that kind of comes into Disneyland or downtown Disney?
I think
It's all the fountains and the plants.
I think it's interesting.
I thought you just showed me a picture of the conventions.
Yeah, it's actually it's a more Disney-fied version of that.
I think, first of all, with it being a V-shaped hotel, that it's interesting to have something fill that space. 'Cause, I mean, that's just a weird hotel shape. So it's like, obviously you have all that empty space. And I think it's a good use. I think it'll be very pretty, and it'll go really well with the whole nature thing.
So as I'm looking at the image here too, I have to wonder, on the north side or the north V hockey puck, or hockey stick thing, I have to wonder if they're going to put in a restaurant on the top floor and have our own version of California Grill, having just eaten there.
Literally be the Contemporary.
Well, now that you've put the thought in my mind, I could see it, because they've got like a grass area and plants up there, and I have to wonder if they're going to make... I see one actually on both sides where there's areas that look like they could be viewing areas from outside.
I already think they're going to charge a hefty premium for the firework balconies that you can like see from your room.
Why not?
And I'm sure they're going to pipe music in and add an extra fee on it, but I think that some people will definitely take it because that's a lot easier. And I don't see why they wouldn't have an observatory deck.
I think they should.
They definitely should. They don't have.
Well, it looks
Disneyland
like they could
hotel.
have 2 on the north side and 2 on the south side.
Especially because that would be a draw that none of the other hotels have. They don't have a.
It is going to
designated-
block some rooms from seeing fireworks at Disneyland Hotel.
The only deck, quote unquote, of all of them is the very tiny one that's at the Grand, where you can see World of Color.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That little tiny where 50 people.
But even
can
then,
go.
it's
But yeah,
kind of way off to the side, and it's not that
and
great
that's
of
their only
viewing.
offering. I mean, if they were smart enough, because I've been driving around and I've seen some hotels that have that deck with like the lights, and I'm going
like
that would be
the new one that
the Grand Legacy?
has the 5th.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can see the fireworks from up there.
Yeah.
It'd be smart because with all that space, they could have one really big designated restaurant. They could have a lounge over here, so they could do a couple of lounges and then a restaurant.
Yeah.
And then you have a different draw for each of them.
Yeah.
But still, you know. And
if you could see World of Color from one and you could see fireworks from the other and piping music on either side.
I don't know if you'll
could
see
also
World
I
of
don't-
Color
I don't
from
know if
there,
you'd be able to
because that'd be
see-
blocked
Grand
by
would
it
the...
would be
block it.
kind of
But you could
over,
Could you see Phantasmic?
probably not.
Flashes?
Maybe, I was
Might
just
be
say
able to
maybe...
see flashes. Where
Yeah.
like Mickey's little fireworks out of his fingers at the top.
Because I was thinking that if that was an option, I'm sure that would be a giant draw if you could see 3 different nighttime spectaculars
And from your room. Or
from a
your
room.
hotel.
So
Or
just
a
off the
deck,
top of your
whatever.
head, what do you think they should name it?
Isn't it named the Four Diamond?
No,
Or is that
that's what it is.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's a AAA.
I just thought it was the name of it
Term.
because
No.
at first that was what I thought it was a AAA term, and then I was like, I kept seeing people refer to it as that. I was like, is that the name? Name it Tree of Life, Animal Kingdom, TM.
I don't know. I'm not good at names
I
or captions,
really-
or I'm not good at that. So
Okay.
I'm not.
Just a question.
They should name it California Contemporary because they have Grand Floridian, we have Grand Californian.
Mm-hmm.
If we have our version of the Contemporary, just
Because there's no Disney theme to it, correct?
I'm sure.
I mean,
there-
I'm
Oh,
sure they'll
there's
have
gonna
like
be.
inklings, but
But
it
it's
doesn't
a
have
more-
a particular.
it's like a Grand Californian mature
Okay.
Disneyland.
yeah, I don't.
Disney nature. Oh wait.
Mm-hmm.
Just kidding. But back to the outdoor space. sorry.
No, go ahead.
It
You're
will
good.
be kind
We're
of
not good at
fun
names.
because like they've gotten rid of like Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, like some of the offerings that if people can't necessarily get into the park. I know like in Florida at Disney Springs for a while they had Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. They had like character meet and greets that were in Disney Springs. Why not put, like Doug or the Chipmunks or, like have a couple of spots for meet and greets for those people who just can't get into the park.
You said
but it still brings the magic.
Doug, and it kind of gave me an idea of like, what if they put more rare characters like Pocahontas and Miko and things that aren't necessarily like they don't come out, like it's not Jessica Rabbit, they never come out, but things you don't get to see as often, and if they put them there then you have Draw to the New Hotel, which I'm sure it doesn't need,
and it adds value very quickly.
Adds value
because I mean they put characters in the Disneyland Hotel and that's fun. I mean one of the times I walked in and there was Goofy, Jasmine, Pluto, Tigger, Chip and Dale, and it was like all of them at once, and we got a picture with all of them.
Casual.
And it was like, okay. But I mean, how fun for that little kid that if we can't go to Disneyland because we can't afford it, but let's go to Downtown Disney, and they're walking
that was
by,
me as a kid.
oh my gosh, there's...
I mean, they didn't have Downtown Disney, but we
characters.
go to Disneyland Hotel because...
Right.
Did they have the show at Disneyland Hotel?
Yeah, they had Fantasy Waters.
Yeah.
You can see it on our YouTube channel.
There was a wedding there last night and no one dancing. It was kind of sad. I was like...
Well, let's hope at this new hotel people dance.
But out at Fantasy Waters, I mean, it just was like, oh.
And Disney Fairy Tale Weddings probably just got a new venue.
Oh, I'm sure.
Especially on their rooftop.
Yeah, on the
especially-
rooftop where that grassy area is done.
There you go.
You can even get the fireworks during the wedding or right afterward shot.
I'm sure.
You're good to go. So, of all these announcements, what are you most excited about?
New hotel. I'm the most interested to see the new hotel.
Okay.
I'm the most excited about new space for parking.
Okay.
Parking, I'm just kind of like, parking is parking.
Yeah.
I got a Toy Story. I don't...
Well, it gets
If it's
everybody
still
out
there.
of Toy Story.
Yeah, that's true.
Because isn't Toy Story a temporary parking lot?
I think technically
We shouldn't say this on the air. They're gonna hear us.
They were expanding Toy Story.
they are. They are expanding it, but that doesn't mean it's a permanent thing,
Well.
according to the city. But I'm not sure exactly how that works.
10 years from now, it'll be another hotel.
The city's
or
gonna
5.
hear us.
That's a lot of hotels.
What are you most excited about?
Hotel. I mean, it's two things. So it's parking.
I think it's
or
really,
hotel.
and I really think what it's doing is it's turning this from a local destination and pivoting it more to a tourist destination, which is not a bad thing. It's bad for us locals because that means prices are probably going to go up for some of the passes and stuff. But what else is new?
It's true.
And
It's better for a reason than for seemingly.
I do hope they do it in a way though that helps families get to the parks and experience, even if it's for a day, so that everybody can do what Walt really dreamed they would do. And maybe for the people that want to go more than one day or more than 5 days, the prices go up a little bit more because that's a different privilege that, I would be it cheaper to go for a day or two and more expensive for the passes perhaps, but still make it somewhat of a value. But I don't feel like there's that same need to get people pulled back in all the time like there was perhaps when passes were made. I don't know.
So, I mean, the hotel's exciting.
Yeah.
But then this brings up the question, where's the Downtown Disney entrance going to be?
Who knows? It looks like it'll
What are
be...
they going to do for
It
the
looks
time
like
being?
it might be along the monorail route, which I'm assuming means that road is going to be covered more or something. I don't know.
I just mean, like, during construction, because that's the only...
Well, it's going to be the same way probably that California Adventure was during the construction of Buena Vista Street, where you had this weird...
Go down this alley.
Yeah, go down this alley between construction and that wasn't that the back of Soarin' was where the entrance was for a while?
Around,
Yeah, so I think it's going to be some weird space.
Yeah.
Or
I think one thing that also is going to be interesting now that you just brought up with the entrance is where is the security berm going to be? Is it now going to be outside of hotels?
Yeah.
Because it sure looks like it almost needs to be.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm really curious. I'd love to hear people's thoughts. Leave it in the comments because that would be an interesting discussion in itself. Where's the security berm going to be? That's an interesting question.
Yep.
Um,
Especially because they just added 2.
right.
So now where are those going to go?
Because it looks like this is going to go right on top of it. So.
Yeah.
That'll be very interesting. I'm most excited about the new monorail station. I just think it's going to be really fun and really cool. And the one that we have was kind of cool when it first came out, but now it feels a little bit dated. And if they
Yeah.
can make it something that really like is cohesive with the hotel, but also just has a futuristic feel to it, because I feel like the monorail, even though it's not necessarily new technology, still has that futuristic
Yeah.
kind of feel to it. And the highway in the sky, whatever. I'd love to see how they could make that much cooler. And I think they could. I mean, just looking at the artwork, it looks like it could be something really cool. But anyway, that's about all the time we have for this expanded Disney Reporter. This will be the new name of what was formerly Great Moments with Mr. Daps. We hope you've enjoyed it. Please take a moment to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Go to dapsmagic.com and subscribe as well. Thank you, Katie and Caitlin, for joining me this week for this special edition of this, and we will see you all next week. Here at Daps Magic, we believe it's awesome to be a geek, especially a Disney geek. So we make videos that cover just that, whether it's Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, Indiana Jones, anything like that, we might do a video about it, especially Disneyland. So if you like those kinds of videos, make sure to subscribe. We'd love to geek out with you. Also go to dapsmagic.com where you can read our coverage about all of those same things as well. But most of all, we just love to geek out with you, and we'd love to see you in the parks. Make it a great day, everybody.